Picture a pale moon hanging in a soft blue afternoon sky, a quiet coin of light that seems to float above rooftops and tree branches while the day carries on beneath it, calm and unhurried, like a quiet companion you notice only when you look up and take a slow breath. What time is it for you at this exact moment? Welcome to a gentle journey about a simple, soothing piece of sky science, told slowly, step by step, so your mind can rest and wander if it wants, or follow along with easy curiosity. You can close your eyes and listen, or keep them half open and let the words drift by like thin clouds. We will move lightly, with no rush, through a small mystery that is not really a mystery at all once you settle into the rhythm of it. The moon sometimes appears in the day. Nothing is wrong, nothing is out of place. It is simply the way of light and motion, and the way our eyes meet the sky. Take a comfortable breath and imagine this scene. Morning is quiet. A bird calls in the distance. A window glows with calm daylight. The sky is pale, almost milky near the horizon, deeper blue above. And there, gentle and steady, the moon rests, faint but certain, as if sketched with a piece of chalk. It feels unusual at first, because the mind pairs the moon with night, with crickets and stars and cool air. But the moon is not tied to darkness. It does not belong to a single time. It is a traveler that circles our world, and sometimes that path places it high in the sky when the sun is up. That is all, and it is quietly satisfying to know. Now imagine the space around you without walls. The earth is a soft marble, spinning slowly. The sun shines from one side, bright and simple. The moon travels around the earth, taking about 29.5 days to complete each loop, as seen from the sun's point of view. If you could watch from far away, you would see sunlight falling on both earth and moon at the same time, always on the side that faces the sun. There is no on and off switch for the moon's glow. It is always lit on one side. We see it as phases because, from our ground, we look from different angles. When the moon is between us and the sun, its sunlit side faces away from us, and we see a new moon, a dark face lost in the glare of day. When the moon is opposite the sun in the sky, we see a full moon, the whole face bright and round. Between those positions are the slow steps, the crescents and quarters and gibbous shapes. Every day the moon moves a little farther along its orbit, shifting its position relative to the sun by about the width of your hand held at arm's length. Each day the time it rises and sets changes, roughly 50 minutes later than the day before. This daily drift is the quiet clock that decides when you might see it in daylight. A simple picture helps. Think of the sun as a bright lamp fixed in one direction. Think of the moon as a glossy white ball moving around you on a big circle. Wherever the moon is on that circle, half of it faces the lamp and shines, and half faces away and stays in shadow. You stand at the center, turning once every 24 hours. As you turn, the part of the sky you face changes from night to day and back again, and the moon's position relative to the sun in your sky changes with it. When the moon is near the sun in its orbit, it stays close to the sun in your sky. That means it rises around sunrise and sets around sunset, and the sunlit crescent is slim, often lost in glare. A few days later, the moon is a bit farther from the sun. The crescent grows and shifts into the afternoon, where it can rise before sunset and linger in the blue. That is when the daytime moon shows itself most often. Many afternoons, a waxing crescent sits above the west like a white smile against the sky. A few more days pass. The moon is a quarter, the right half lit if you live in the northern hemisphere, and it is high in the afternoon and sets around midnight, perfect for day viewing because it rises at midday. As the moon waxes to gibbous, it shifts into the evening and then the late night. By full moon, it rises at sunset and sets at sunrise, glowing through the night. In that phase, you will not see it in the middle of the day, because it is below the horizon then. After full, it wanes, becoming a morning companion. A waning gibbous hangs in the late night and slides into the dawn. A last quarter moon rises around midnight and drifts through the early morning. A thin waning crescent follows the sun toward sunrise and can decorate the daytime morning sky. Then it slips into new moon again, and the cycle continues, quiet and steady. So the day moon is not a special event. It is simply geometry and timing. The moon is up about 12 hours out of every 24, but not always at night. Because the sun and the moon move through your sky on different schedules, their paths overlap in daytime for almost half the month. When the moon is more than a little way from the sun in the sky, and when it is above the horizon while the sun is also up, your eyes can catch it if the air is clear enough and you take a moment to look. You can imagine a dial called the elongation, which is just the angle between the moon and the sun as you see them. When that angle is small, the crescent is thin and can be hard to spot at midday. When that angle is about 90 degrees, you get a quarter moon, which sits well away from the sun in the afternoon or morning and is easy to notice. When the angle grows past 90 degrees, you see more than a half moon, and it arrives later into the evening or earlier in the morning. This plane angle explains almost everything about when and where the day moon lives. But there is more. The daytime sky is bright, and the moon is subtler than at night. Yet it still stands out because it is surprisingly bright itself, especially when the sun shines on it from the side or the front. It looks gray to us in photos, but the moon reflects sunlight well enough to shine even through daylight's blue. Its surface is dusty and rocky, reflecting about 1/10 of the sunlight that hits it. That may sound low, but it is high enough to be seen hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. The moon is lit by the same sun that makes your shadows on the ground. Your eyes are good at adjusting to wide ranges of brightness. They quietly tune themselves to the sky. In that tuned state, a pale disk, a little brighter than the surrounding blue, becomes visible. It can look milky, a little washed, especially at midday when the sky is most intense. Closer to sunrise or sunset, when the sky softens, the moon can look stronger, with crisper edges. Thin haze can scatter light in a way that reduces contrast. But sometimes haze also smooths the sky and makes the moon more noticeable as a distinct disk. If you shade your eyes with your hand or step into a patch of shadow, the moon can pop into view more easily, not because it changed, but because your eyes find a more comfortable level. The color of the daytime moon often seems cooler, tinted by the blue it sits on. The light from the moon is white sunlight, reflected and not strongly colored. But the atmosphere between you and the moon is not empty. The same scattering that makes the sky blue also washes the moon with a subtle veil. This scattering, which is stronger for bluer light and gentler for redder light, fills the air with a soft glow that reduces contrast. The effect feels peaceful. It is like looking at a white shell through clear, shallow water. The edges blur only a little, and the texture of the moon's seas and craters is invisible to the naked eye in daylight. But the shape is unmistakable. You can think of the moon's brightness compared to the sky's brightness as a balance. At noon on a clear summer day, the sky is a full ocean of light. Near the afternoon, as the sun slides lower, the ocean calms and the moon's white rises out of it. This is why you notice it most in morning and late afternoon. It is there at other times too, if the phase and position are right, but those edges of day are kinder to noticing. There is a common idea in many minds that the moon belongs to the night, and that seeing it in the day means something unusual, perhaps a sign or a rare incident. In truth, the day moon is normal. It is expected, predictable, and frequent. If you learn the gentle rhythm, you can find it again and again. In the days after new moon, look to the western sky in the afternoon. The moon will be a thin crescent, its bright edge on the right, if you live in the northern hemisphere. It may be low, like a smile over the rooftops. Each day it appears higher and thicker, arriving earlier. By first quarter, it is due south in early afternoon, strong and bold against the blue. Later, as it becomes gibbous, it shifts toward evening, but it will still be there in late afternoon, white and steady. After the full moon, rise early and look to the western sky in the morning. A waning gibbous will sit there like a calm balloon of light drifting toward its set. By last quarter, in the hours after midnight and into the dawn, the moon stays high and patient. A few days before new, the crescent thins again, now with its bright edge on the left if you live in the northern hemisphere, and it follows the sun into the morning sky. Some of the most delicate day moons happen then, a thin thread above a quiet sunrise, sometimes with a hint of earthshine, which is the soft glow on the dark side of the crescent caused by sunlight reflected from the earth back onto the moon. Earthshine is easier to see in the evening or pre-dawn twilight, but very keen eyes sometimes notice a suggestion of it even during the day, when the haze is just right and the crescent is thin. You might wonder about direction and height. The moon's path across the sky is not the same every day. The sun follows a path called the ecliptic, which tilts higher or lower in the sky depending on your latitude and the season. The moon follows a path close to that, but with a small tilt of about 5 degrees. That small tilt means the moon sometimes goes a little higher or lower than the sun's path, and this changes the way it appears in the day. In some seasons, the afternoon quarter moon climbs high, clear of buildings and trees. In others, it lingers low and may be lost in haze. If you live closer to the equator, the moon's path crosses your sky steeply, and it can rise and set quickly, popping into view and then sinking gently, not spending much time near the horizon. If you live farther north or south, the path is more slanted, and the moon can drift along the horizon for a while, stretched across a wide arc, changing height slowly. These changes are natural and slow. There is even a longer cycle of about 18.5 years in which the moon's highest and lowest paths in the sky shift slowly. Some years the moon reaches very high points in the sky. In other years, it reaches less high points. This is not something you need to track to enjoy a day moon. It is just a layer of quiet structure in the sky, like rings in a tree. Another helpful idea is to think about the moon's rising and setting times as a set of gentle appointments. The moon rises about 50 minutes later each day on average. So after a new moon, you could step outside each afternoon and find the crescent a little later and a little higher each day. After the first quarter, the moon becomes more an evening visitor, and during the week before full moon, your daylight glimpses shift toward late afternoon. After the full moon, the schedule flips to mornings. The waning gibbous can meet you at breakfast time, and a few days later, the last quarter hangs above you during a late morning walk. Then, just before new moon, the last thin crescent may be there in the first light of the day, fragile and serene, then gone into the sun's brightness. If you trace this pattern for a few months, it becomes as natural as the pattern of weekdays. You begin to know where to look without effort. It is one of the gentle pleasures of paying attention to the sky. The reward is small, but steady, like the comfort of a familiar path through a park. There are other soft details. The moon's face is not smooth. It has darker plains called Maria, which are ancient lava seas, and lighter, more rugged highlands. At night, the terminator, the line between the lit and unlit halves, shows mountains and craters in striking relief. In daylight, the brightness of the sky washes away most of that texture to the naked eye, but the overall pattern of dark and light can still be noticed on a day with clear air. The Maria, such as the Sea of Tranquility and the Ocean of Storms, appear as faint patches against the pale disk, especially when the moon is more than a half. The crescent shows very sharp edges in clear afternoon air, a clean curve. Sometimes the daytime moon feels larger or smaller, depending on its place near the horizon. This is a matter of perception called the moon illusion. Near the horizon, our minds compare the moon to familiar features and judge it larger. High overhead, without nearby reference points, it feels smaller. The size does not change by very much in reality, but the feeling changes, and that is part of the quiet poetry of looking up. Myths often say that phases come from the Earth's shadow, but that is only true during a lunar eclipse. On ordinary days, the shape you see is the result of geometry, not shadow from Earth. The Earth's shadow plays its role during special alignments, when the Sun, Earth, and Moon form a straight line with Earth in the middle. Those nights, the full moon slips into a red glow. That is a different and rare event. In day-to-day sky time, the shapes of the moon are due to where the moon is in its orbit and how the sun's light falls on it. This understanding is a relief, because it means there is no mystery to resolve, only a pattern to notice at a calm pace. The moon is there in the day when it should be there, and every time you see it, you are catching a moment along a smooth, repeating curve. There is also the simple fact of weather. Clouds hide or reveal the moon. Thin clouds can make it diffuse and dreamy. Thicker clouds hide it completely. Haze lowers the contrast. Clean, dry air after rain can make the daytime moon sharp and easy to spot. In cities, the bright sky glow around midday can be strong, and the moon may fade into it unless you look carefully. In the countryside, with less glare from surfaces and less dust, the moon can appear more clearly. Snow on the ground can reflect sunlight into the air and make the daytime sky even brighter. Yet the moon still finds a way through that brightness when the phase is generous, especially as a quarter. Seasonal changes matter too. In winter, the air can be very transparent and the moon's disk is clear. In summer, humidity and thin haze can veil it. None of this changes why the moon is visible in the day. It just changes how easy it is to see. Imagine a slow walk through a month, the sky your companion. Day 1. The new moon hides in sunlight, unseen. Day 2 or 3. A thin crescent appears in the late afternoon, low in the west. Day 4. The crescent is thicker, and it rides a bit higher, and you spot it above a line of trees on your way home. Day 5. The moon is a sleek white curve in the mid-afternoon, and children on a playground glance up at it. Day 6 and 7. The crescent is nearly a half, and it is strong against the blue at lunchtime. Day 8. The quarter, a perfect half circle, sits high in the south, putting a crisp white stamp on the sky. Day 9 to 12. The gibbous grows, the curve bulges, and the moon becomes an afternoon companion that lingers until dusk. By day 14 or 15, full moon arrives and shifts your sightings into the night. After that, the moon becomes a morning friend. Day 17 and 18. A gibbous white hangs over a quiet commute, the sky tinted salmon near the horizon. Day 21 or so. The last quarter slides through the early morning like a coin balanced on the edge of the sky. Day 24. The crescent, now thinning, smiles above the eastern rooftops before joining the sun. Then the cycle turns over, patient and predictable. This slow walk is soothing. It asks for little more than time and a habit of gentle looking. If you ever want to know where to look in a simple way, there is a helpful rule of thumb. A waxing moon appears in the afternoon and evening, and a waning moon appears in the late night and morning. Waxing means growing from new to full. Waning means shrinking from full to new. So if you see a daytime moon in the afternoon, you are likely looking at a waxing moon. And if you see a daytime moon in the morning, you are likely looking at a waning moon. In the northern hemisphere, a waxing crescent has its bright edge on the right, and a waning crescent has its bright edge on the left. In the southern hemisphere, it is reversed. These details anchor your sense of direction and time when you look up. They are like a soft compass written in light. Let your mind settle into another image. Imagine standing on a hillside. The sun warms your face. You hold a small white ball in your hand and walk in a lazy circle around a candle on a table. At each step, the side of the ball that faces the candle is lit, and the side that faces away is dark. When the ball is between you and the candle, its lit half faces away, and the ball looks dark. When the ball is opposite the candle from you, you see the full bright side face on. As you move around, the shape you see changes smoothly. Now, if you turn slowly in place while you walk around the candle, sometimes the ball lines up with your view when you are facing the candle, sometimes when you are turned away, sometimes when you are somewhere between. This is like your daily spin on Earth mixed with the moon's monthly path. The point of this picture is simple. There is no special trick to the day moon. It is just the same ball lit by the same light, seen from a changing angle as you turn. This ease can be comforting. The sky obeys a set of gentle rules that are repeatable and calm. People sometimes wonder if the day moon means weather changes or unusual tides. The moon does raise tides in the oceans all the time, day and night, as its gravity pulls on the water and on Earth itself. Those tides follow the moon whether you see it or not. The visibility of the moon in the day does not cause special effects. It is a matter of sightlines and contrast, not a special event. That knowledge can put the mind at ease. You can enjoy the sight without attaching any larger meaning. It is simply a quiet presence. If you take the time to notice, the moon in the day can be different from the moon in the night in the way it feels. At night, the moon is luminous against black, a lantern for moths and night birds, making shadows on the ground. In the day, it is a reminder that space is above you, even while cars and chores and voices fill your hours. It suggests a wider view, a calm horizon beyond the near tasks. The day moon can pair with trees, with cranes, with clouds. It becomes a part of the daily scene. A white circle above a city street feels like a thread tying everyone beneath it to the same gentle pattern. There are simple habits that make it easier to notice. When you step outside in the afternoon during the week after new moon, take a slow look to the west. When you step outside in the morning during the week before new moon, look to the east or south. If you have a window that faces south in the northern hemisphere or north in the southern hemisphere, glance at the sky mid-afternoon near first quarter. If the sun is behind a building or a tree, the reduced glare gives your eyes an easier time finding the moon. If you want to share the sight, point it out with a slow gesture rather than a quick one, because the act of guiding someone's eyes can be like tracing a line on a map. A calm voice and a steady hand help someone see what you see. This practice is gentle and small, and it builds a quiet joy in the regularity of the world. The moon's distance and size can also live in your thoughts without needing math. The moon is about a quarter the width of Earth and sits at a distance that makes it look about half a degree wide in the sky, roughly the width of your little finger at arm's length. That size does not change much, though the moon's path around Earth is a little stretched rather than a perfect circle. When the moon is a bit closer, it looks a touch larger. When it is a bit farther, it looks a touch smaller. In daylight, the difference is almost impossible to feel. The delicate brightness of the background and the soft edges make the moon's disk feel steady. Knowing that size and distance gives a sense of scale. The pale coin above you is a real world, with mountains and plains and a horizon you could walk across if you could stand there. The light you see leaving it during the day left the sun minutes before, bounced off dust and rock, crossed space, filtered through your air, and met your eyes in a fraction of a second. The chain is elegant and continuous. It is reassuring to sense that in the background of your day, cloudscapes can play with the day moon in ways that invite a slow gaze. Wisps of cirrus can drift across it, briefly softening the circle. A thicker cloud can hide and then reveal it, making a slow peekaboo that is perfect for a meditative mood. Sometimes the moon aligns with the edge of a cloud bank or with contrails from a plane, making gentle compositions. No need to capture a photo to enjoy them. You can let them pass like music for the eyes. On windy days, the contrast shifts over minutes as air masses move. On still days, the moon can hang in a clean, empty blue for hours, unbothered and constant. In a high-latitude summer, when daylight stretches for many hours, the waning gibbous can accompany a long morning with a quiet watchfulness. In winter, a low, pale sun and a crisp quarter moon can share a cold afternoon sky with a steady grace. If you travel, you will find that the day moon travels with you. In a city center, it can span a gap between buildings like a gentle bead in a stone necklace. In the countryside, it can hover over a field, the stalks of grass moving below it like water. By the sea, the daytime moon can glance off the water as the sun does, though not with the same brightness, creating a pale glimmer in the ripples. In the mountains, it can appear and disappear behind ridges as you round a bend, making a slow dance with hills and trees. The quiet thrill is that this purity of white is the same object seen by someone on another continent at a different time. Part of the same pattern, the same slow orbit, the same rhythm of months. The day moon is shared in a global way. It has no border. It does not require a clear night far from a city. It is available to most people many days each month, a common gift of the sky. As your thoughts grow softer, it can be pleasant to touch on how your eyes manage the day moon. Human eyes adjust to brightness with a kind of graceful automation. Tiny muscles change the size of your pupils. Cells in your retina adapt their sensitivity over seconds and minutes. When you walk from a dim room into bright daylight, your eyes step down their sensitivity. When you look up into the sky, they are tuned to the overall brightness, and the moon is a highlight, a gentle bright island in a bright sea. If you look down at the shade of a tree and then back at the moon, your eyes rebalance in a little dance. This is why sometimes the moon seems to suddenly appear into awareness. Your eyes and attention cooperate to bring it forward. The mind's attention is like a soft spotlight. If you decide calmly to look for the moon, your mind sends a quiet instruction to scan for a white circle, and the rest of the world recedes a little. In moments, the moon enters that spotlight. Then, when you let go, it slips back into the background again. This ebb and flow is part of the soothing experience of sky watching. It is like listening to a gentle piece of music and letting one instrument come forward and then blend back. The sky itself is a living canvas of light, and the moon interacts with it in subtle ways. Rayleigh scattering is the name for the way air molecules scatter sunlight, more for shorter wavelengths like blue than for longer ones like red. In the middle of the day, the scattered light fills the sky and gives it that blue color. Near sunrise and sunset, the light travels through more air, and scattering shifts the color toward warm tones. In late afternoon, the background is softer, and the moon stands out more strongly. Thin particles in the air, from dust or humidity, scatter light more evenly across colors, which can make the sky look whiter and the moon less crisp. After a front passes and the air is clear and dry, the sky is a deep, saturated blue, and the moon is clean-edged and bright. None of this requires you to remember details. The main idea is that the air is part of the picture, and it can help or hinder visibility in gentle ways. You can lean into the pace of this narration and let it carry you through a few more soft themes. The moon's presence in daylight affects animals and people, even if only by being there as a point of attention. Birds navigate by the sun and the Earth's magnetic field, but a bright moon can influence the timing of dawn songs and the behavior of some species, mostly at night. In the day, the moon is a silent marker. For many people, it brings a small feeling of surprise and something like gratitude. The mind expects the world to be predictable, and then a familiar night symbol appears in the day. That small mismatch is resolved quickly when you remember the rhythm of phases, and the resolution brings a deeper sense of how the world is connected. This is the kind of gentle cognitive shift that is perfect for bedtime, because it reassures rather than startles.
The moon in day is a sign that patterns are bigger than habits. As you rest here, imagine again the way the moon and sun share the sky through the month. At first quarter, the moon is 90 degrees away from the sun in the sky. When the sun is setting in the west, the quarter moon is high in the south if you are in the northern hemisphere, or north if you are in the southern hemisphere. That right angle makes it easy to visualize. The shape you see, half and half, matches the angle. Later, near full moon, the moon is opposite the sun, and the sky naturally holds them at separate times of day. Before full, the waxing gibbous spends afternoons high and bright. After full, the waning gibbous spends mornings the same way. This pairing is soothing to track. It is like breathing in and out. Think of people at different latitudes. Near the equator, day and night are close to equal all year. The moon's arc is high and steep. A first quarter moon can be almost overhead in the afternoon. Near the poles in summer, daylight can last most of the day. In those places and times, a waning gibbous can glide through soft daylight that never quite becomes night, a gentle ghost that refuses to leave. In winter near the poles, darkness can last, and the moon takes on a stronger presence. But in the brief stretch of day, a quarter moon can still glow against the blue. These variations are part of the planet's tilt and the moon's tilt, overlapping in complex but slow ways. They remind you that your view of the sky is a local version of a global pattern. Another gentle point is that while the moon moves eastward along the sky each day relative to the sun, the Earth's rotation makes it appear to cross from east to west across your view like the sun does.
This is why the moon rises in the east and sets in the west like the sun, even though the moon is also slowly moving eastward in space relative to your ground. If you watch for an hour, you can see its position change against the pattern of clouds or above a tree. The movement is calm and steady. Time is written into the sky in this way, not in numbers, but in drift. If you enjoy the sight of the day moon, you might take note of the days when it is especially easy to see. 4 or 5 days after new moon, the afternoon sky often holds a lovely crescent. 7 or 8 days after new, the first quarter is a perfect white D shape in the northern hemisphere, easy and bright. 3 or 4 days before full, the afternoon gibbous is large and serene. After full, 3 or 4 days later, the morning gibbous has the same presence. And 7 or 8 days after full, the last quarter is a perfect white C shape in the northern hemisphere, calm in the morning sky. 3 or 4 days before new, a waning crescent hangs above sunrise. These windows are not strict appointments, but friendly suggestions. The moon keeps them with a relaxed attitude, and you can keep them the same way. People sometimes worry when the moon and the sun appear in the same part of the sky, perhaps because they expect the moon to be opposite the sun. But the sun and moon share space often, especially around the crescent and quarter phases. This is the time when the day moon is most at home. It is a peaceful sharing, nothing to be concerned about. The day moon does not steal attention from the sun. It sits as a companion, a reminder that the solar system is active even when you are occupied with daily life. The feeling it brings is not dramatic. It is like seeing a boat on a lake under a bright sky. small and calm and steady. If you look carefully on crescent days, sometimes you may notice a soft gray glow on the dark part of the moon. That is earthshine, sunlight reflecting off the earth and onto the moon's night side, then back to you. It is a gentle loop of light. The earth is much brighter per unit area than the moon, because oceans and clouds reflect well. When earthshine is strong, the whole disk of the moon is faintly visible as a ghost within the crescent. This effect is easiest in twilight, but sometimes a hint survives into the day. Seeing it can bring a quiet sense of connection, because it means the light leaving your world is illuminating another world and then returning to your eyes. It is like passing a friendly note around a circle. You can also take a moment to sense the moon's constant presence across cultures. Stories and calendars and festivals mark its phases. Farmers and fishers, poets and painters, travelers and listeners have all noticed the same thing for as long as there have been eyes to look up. The daytime moon appears in old paintings and in simple children's drawings. It is a shape that children love to spot after school and that adults rediscover on a lunch break. To know a simple reason for it is a comfort. The reason does not remove the feeling. It supports it with calm understanding. The moon is there in the day because its orbit brings it above the horizon while the sun is up, and it is bright enough to be seen against the blue. This line could be all you need, and it is enough. Sometimes you might notice the moon's path is not exactly the same as the sun's path through your sky. The moon's tilt means that at certain times of the year, a crescent can appear very high or very low. In spring in the northern hemisphere, the evening ecliptic is steep, and a thin waxing crescent can appear higher and easier to spot. In autumn, the morning ecliptic is steep, and a waning crescent can be high and clear. These small patterns can feel like a secret you share with the sky, a knowledge that deepens your quiet appreciation. You do not need to memorize them. You can let them come to you gradually as you watch over months. The sky rewards slow learning with a feeling of friendship. How sleepy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? If your mind is gliding toward rest, let the remaining thoughts be even softer now. The essential pieces are already in your pocket. The moon is sunlit on one side at all times. From Earth, you see more or less of that sunlit half, depending on where the moon is on its path. That changing view creates phases. The moon rises and sets at different times each day. Many of those times overlap with daylight, so your eyes can see it in a blue sky. Air and season adjust the contrast, but the gentle geometry is the core reason. You can test this with your own routine. Pick a week after new moon and check the afternoon sky each day. Watch the crescent widen and the time shift. Pick a week after full moon and check the morning sky. Watch the gibbous shrink and drift later each day. This small practice is like a bedtime ritual for daytime. It is slow, predictable, and calming. There is room for a few more soft observations before we close. The moon's edge looks sharp because there is no air on the moon to blur it. Earth's air blurs it a little from your point of view. Heat rising from roofs and roads can shimmer and cause small distortions, especially when the moon is low. On cooler days, the edge is steadier. If you hold a simple pair of binoculars and look in daylight, always carefully and never near the sun, you would see that the maria are visible even under blue sky. Craters near the terminators stand out, but avoid looking anywhere near the sun to protect your eyes. Without tools, the day moon is still rich enough. It is a perfect thing to observe while you wait or while you breathe between tasks.
There is no need to plan, just a habit of occasionally looking upward. You may wish to imagine a soft conversation between sun and moon, not in words, but in placement and timing. The sun says, "Here I am, bright and leading the day." The moon says, "Here I am too, quietly sharing a piece of this hour." They do not compete. They inhabit the same stage at different volumes. The sky holds both without strain. This is a comforting metaphor for many parts of life. Things can coexist without needing to push each other aside. In the same way, your thoughts can hold a sense of wonder and a sense of drowsiness at the same time. You can learn and rest together, a peaceful blend. When you see the day moon next, you may notice that shadows on the ground show the sun's position, while the moon's position is different. You can draw an imaginary line from you to the moon, and another from you to the sun.
The angle between those lines is the elongation angle we mentioned, written not in numbers, but as a piece of sky. If the moon is half lit, the angle is about 90 degrees. If it is a waxing crescent, the moon lags the sun in the afternoon by a smaller angle. If it is a waning crescent, the moon leads the sun in the morning by a similar angle. This is a way to feel geometry without drawing. Your body standing under the sky is the diagram. Your gaze is the pointer. The day moon turns these simple ideas into lived experience. Consider how at times the moon can appear right above the sun's path in the afternoon as a waxing quarter. The lit side points toward the sun. That little detail is a reliable guide. The bright edge of the moon always points roughly toward the sun, like a curved arrow. If the curve opens to the right, the sun is somewhere to the right in the sky. If it opens to the left, the sun is to the left. This helps you find the moon on thin crescent days when it is hard to see. If you know where the sun is, and you imagine the moon's bright edge pointing back at it, you will sweep your gaze along a gentle arc, and the moon may appear for you. This trick feels like joining a puzzle with only 2 pieces. When the moon is near first quarter, it often crosses your local meridian, the imaginary line from due south to due north passing overhead in mid-afternoon. That is why a half moon can hang almost straight up in the middle of a workday. It is not a quirk, just a result of the moon's position relative to the sun and your local time. People often remark on it because it is so visible then. A big piece of white in a plain blue sky is hard to ignore, even if you are busy. It can feel like a pause button on the day. You look up, you breathe once, and you continue with a slightly broader view. In some parts of the world, the day moon sets into haze over water, leaving a pale trail. In others, it sets behind mountains with a crisp edge. In flat regions, it may slide into a horizon lined with low trees or buildings, giving you long minutes to watch as it approaches the edge. This slow descent is part of the Earth's rotation. You can mark time by it if you wish. You can also let it be background to your thoughts, music for the eyes that helps the mind relax.
Repetition and gentle motion can be deeply restful. Watching the day moon move a little over the span of a cup of tea is enough. If you wonder about the few days when you cannot find the moon in the day, it is often because the phase and the schedule are not right for daylight.
Near new moon, the moon is close to the sun in the sky, and the thin crescent is hidden by the sun's glare. Near full moon, the moon is opposite the sun and is below the horizon during the middle of the day. Even on days when it could be above the horizon, it might be too close to the sun's position to stand out. Clouds and haze can hide it. Buildings and trees can cut off the part of the sky where it sits. None of this is a failure. It is just a normal result of positions and conditions. The pattern returns within days. The day moon is patient. It will be there again. Your own rhythm can align with the moon's if you enjoy that. Some people like to pair a gentle habit with moon phases. A walk in the week after new moon becomes a crescent walk. A stretch or a tea in the week after full becomes a gibbous moment in the morning. This is not necessary to enjoy the sky, but it can add a layer of pleasant structure. Just like the moon has its cycle within the larger rhythms of days and seasons, you can have a small cycle within your week that meets the sky halfway. Think now about the quiet way the moon's light is simply sunlight. This knowledge ties the day moon to the sun in a direct way. The warmth on your face from the sun and the light on the moon are the same source spread in different directions. The moon takes a little of that light and sends it back to you. It is like a friend catching a ray and reflecting it toward your eyes, saying, "Here is a reminder." The white of the moon is not its own light, but it is not a dim echo either. It is its own presence, clean and white and steady. Against a blue sky, it feels cool and patient. If you have ever noticed how sometimes the moon looks almost transparent in the day, remember that this is only a feeling. The moon is solid and unchanged. The transparency comes from the way your eyes and brain interpret contrast. The sky is bright, the moon is slightly brighter, and the edges are soft with a little scattering. Your mind blends them slightly, and the moon feels like a glass coin rather than a metal one. At night, with a black background, it looks solid and bold. This duality is pleasing. It shows how the same object changes character with context, much like a piece of music that feels different in the morning than at night. Imagine slow, soft time-lapse of the moon in the day over a landscape. Clouds drift and change shape. Shadows move across the ground. The moon glides, almost imperceptibly, from one place to another. You could layer this over the passing of your own day. Tasks begin and end. Meals come and go. The moon's slow arc reminds you that time is a stream, not a push. There is space for pauses. There is space for rest. The day moon is not urgent. It is an emblem of pace. Another gentle angle is how the moon shares the sky with planes, birds, and sometimes bright planets. During the day, you might see a high airplane leave a contrail that crosses near the moon. You might see a bird fly across the moon's face for an instant, a tiny silhouette marking the scale. Sometimes, Venus can be visible in broad daylight if you know where to look and the air is very clean, though it is much harder to spot than the moon. These overlaps are fleeting and unplanned, little gifts in the day's weave. They bring a smile, and then they pass, leaving the moon to continue.
If you are indoors and cannot step out, the day moon can still be a gentle companion through a window, crossing a square of sky while you sit or lie down. You might watch its position relative to a window frame change over an hour. You might notice that the light in the room shifts as the sun moves, but the moon holds to its graceful drift. Even if you close your eyes, knowing it is there can be calming. It is a quiet friend outside, steady and present. All of these thoughts circle back to the simple question that we opened with, the small mystery under the soft blue. The moon is sometimes visible in the day because its orbit around Earth and the Earth's spin put it in the sky while the sun is up, and because it is lit by the sun brightly enough to be seen through the blue of the atmosphere. The timing depends on phase, which depends on where the moon is in its month-long path. The visibility depends on air and light and the sensitivity of your eyes. There is no trick, no omen, no special cause beyond these gentle facts. The day moon is normal, frequent, and kind. As the narration slows even more, let your breath join the pace. Inhale slowly, as if filling your lungs with a soft blue sky. Exhale gently, as if letting the light settle. Picture the moon now, wherever it might be for you, perhaps below the horizon, perhaps high in the blue, perhaps just a memory of earlier. It is on its path, unhurried, circling with patient grace. It will return to your afternoon, to your morning, to a window or a walk. When it does, you can remember this quiet explanation and feel a small, satisfying click of understanding. The moon in the day is simply a companion passing through. To end on a simple note. The moon is visible in the day because it is often above the horizon while the sun is up, and it reflects sunlight strongly enough that your eyes can see it against the sky. The pattern follows the phases. Crescents in first quarter favor afternoons. Last quarter and crescents favor mornings. Full moon favors night. New moon hides in brightness. Everything else is the smooth in-between. If this calm science helped you relax, you can gently tap like and subscribe so you can find your way back to more quiet journeys like this one whenever you want to rest with a little wonder. Sleep well if you are drifting off, and carry the soft picture of a white coin in a blue sky with you into your dreams.